Well, whenever this says we're live. And it does say we're live. And today is so weird.
Weird.
It's so weird. Weird. I never know what they're doing. All right. Oh boy. All right. Here we go. Okay. Going on. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Weird Sunday. It's week 9 recap here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom, and starting with Ravens taken to the brink in overtime by the Vikings. 34-31 the final score. Kirk Cousins, couple of touchdowns, 187 yards, 1 touchdown to Justin Jefferson, 3 for 69 and a touch. Adam Thielen, 2 for 6 and a touch, so he had that. Tyler Conklin, 5 for 45. Dalvin Cook, 17 for 110. It was Cousins with a rushing touchdown there as well. So Minnesota puts up a hell of a fight on the road, falls short in the end. Does it say more about Minnesota or more about Baltimore?
Yeah, the hell of a fight and fall short theme continuing for the Vikings. And early on, they took control of the game. Jefferson with a big play, Cook with a big play, the key to touchdown drive, an interception. They were in the driver's seat in this game. Although this also followed a very familiar script for the Ravens this year. The Ravens clawed back in at the end of the first half a little bit, and then you had the Nwangwu kickoff return for a touchdown again. So the Vikings setting the pace in this game, but eventually giving way to the Ravens. And in overtime, even after they got a gift interception on a great play by Anthony Barr, they really couldn't get it done. From a fantasy standpoint, you do see a little bit of disappointment here with Cousins, with Thielen. Conklin had an okay day, but this is a Ravens defense that has been giving up a lot to tight ends, so you feel like it could have been better, especially in a high-scoring game. And that's what was a bit deceptive from a fantasy standpoint. This was a high-scoring game for Minnesota, but you have the kickoff return, you have the early outburst, and then another bitter loss for this team. And since you have talents on this team, they did lose Donnell Hunter. You feel like they can give just about anybody in the league a good game. I mean, they gave Arizona. They should have beaten Arizona. But you realize why the Vikings fans, again, will come back to this idea, they don't have any confidence. What's really funny, Cecil, is you have next week Minnesota going to face the Chargers, this is your shoulda, woulda, coulda bowl. The two teams that always seem to underachieve, right, and fall short. So obviously, Chargers coming in on a better note. But the Ravens, they have the cardiac kids, right? I mean, we're back to that idea with this team that really only seems to start playing cease whenever it seems like the game is slipping away.
Yeah, when the game is slipping away, and then Lamar Jackson can say, I'll just do everything again. 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 27-41 passing, 266 yards. Marquise Brown, 9 for 116. Rashad Bateman, 5 for 52. Mandrews, 5 for 44. The touchdowns to people he didn't start, Patrick Ricard or Devin Duvernay with those touchdowns. Also, Devonta Freeman with the receiving touchdown, by the way, 79 yards on the ground as well. Le'Veon Bell gets a rushing touchdown, and Jackson gets 120 yards on the ground. So ugly with guys you didn't play, but it doesn't matter because if you're a Ravens fan, you are happy.
Yeah. Wow. See, so the stat I saw, there are 4 games this year that the Ravens have had 15% or less win probability in the second half that they have won. 4 times.
Sounds about right.
4 times. This is the team that starts the season with 16 players on IR, right? I mean, you have a motif here. And we see it coming together. It's a weird day. And I love the fact that earlier in the season, I brought up the idea, and I don't remember who started it a while ago, that Weird Al should play the halftime show. That's what America needs. Weird Al at the Super Bowl. I mean, not to take anything away from Dr. Dre and company. I'm just saying it would be perfect for this weird day and this weird season. What I mean when I say it's a weird season, Cease, is that like at this point, especially because of the game your Broncos played today against Dallas, like when we get our red pen out, like we're the teachers grading the test, like we got a lot of red on everyone's paper now, right?
No, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even matter. I guess maybe Arizona maybe comes out smelling like a rose in this one, but Arizona's had a few games lately that makes you wonder about them and like where their mean or their median is. And Baltimore doing this, like you said, Lamar doing it, it's comfortable in a way. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen a team just have this unerring confidence, even when they're playing badly, that their quarterback is going to win, and the quarterback doing those things. He authors these incredible long touchdown drives. even overcomes that interception again. Anthony Barr getting up in the air and batting the ball to himself. Still, that doesn't matter. And doing it with his legs. You definitely have him zeroing in on Marquise Brown as his guy. Bateman and Andrews got a lot of targets in this one also, but you can see that connection. Brown really growing up as the number one receiver they wanted him to become when they took him in the first round. Then you look at this backfield and Devontae Freeman is getting it done. And see, you look at some of these performances. We'll talk about Devontae Booker. Look, we know if these guys are talented or not. But at this point in his career, Devontae Freeman maybe doesn't have the burst he used to have, but it's that idea that running back fantasy numbers are there to be harvested by a competent player. And now, especially the Nick Boyle is back. You have something there. You have something there with Bell. Tyson Williams, even though we like what we saw from him earlier in the season, just not getting that opportunity. We get to watch this Baltimore team turn around and play Miami on Thursday, probably with Jacoby Brissett. But hey, any chance to watch Lamar Jackson and during this season with the way he's playing, must-see TV.
That is must-see TV. I don't know what the TV was with the Broncos and the Cowboys. Our next game to recap. Full disclosure, Bloom, I was at a public appearance at a bar in Littleton and shaking hands, kissing babies, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, kind of rubbing my eyes, watching the Broncos game. Because I open up the moaning. I open up the moaning about the Broncos, moaning and complaining, like, how do they even compete? How do they put up a fight? And then it's 30-16. It wasn't even as close as the score indicates, and that's not a close score. So 30-16, Broncos get the win, and I understand what Pat Shurmur is false narrative every day. He's going to say we had the lead. That meant we could run the ball, but this has been the formula all the time. Not saying the Broncos are world beaters. Not saying the Broncos will go to the playoffs. Not saying whatever. I'm just saying the Broncos this version of the Broncos should have been the version that you see on Sunday. But Pat Shurmur's not good at his job. But today, with everybody's backs against the wall, and you could feel it and you could tell, especially with Vic Fangio showing emotion. That guy's never showed his emotion of like a robot, right? He just shows zero emotion. Well, today he was pumping his fists. Cowboys going for it on fourth, disrespecting that Fangio defense, and they said no. Teddy Bridgewater said yes with a passing touchdown to Timmy Pats, 4 for 85 and a touch. Hey, Trevon Diggs is going to take Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton away. Fine, just go to Tim Patrick. They did that. Jeudy had 6 for 69. By the way, that Patrick touchdown was against Diggs, if memory serves. So there you go. Sutton 1 of 9 on only a couple of targets. Melvin Gordon 21 for 80 and a rushing touchdown. Teddy got a rushing touchdown as well. And then Javonte Williams, the skies have parted. The sun is shining through. And yes, he actually got used enough. 17 for 11. Again, they could do this every week. He could do this every week, and whether it's Gary Brown, remember the old Oilers running back, or Kevin Jones, Lions running back, and there's been a few others. Well, hell, Derrick Henry did it one year, right? The 1,000-yard rushers in 8 games. I could say that about Javonte. We've already seen it. We already know he could do it. It's just, can you say that about Pat Shurmur? He finally did the right thing, and it paid off in a big way for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's like they realized the vision of the team they thought they were or could become only after trading away Von Miller, which we thought was a capitulation moment for this team, right? Right. And it comes back again, Cease, to this idea that touched on with Eric Stoner, that the variance is larger than the delta between the means, right? Because the mean coming into this game for the Broncos, they were 4-4, but it felt like a fraudulent 4-4 when you look at the 4 wins, like who they beat and how the games went. And Dallas looked like they're the best team in the NFL. Just hands down, best team in the NFL. They just beat a Minnesota team that gave Baltimore all they could handle without, the starting quarterback, right? It's going to be a breeze in Dallas, Jerry World. It's going to be a breeze. One thing I wanted to note also that New Orleans tried to trade for Teddy Bridgewater, which, it's
and
good
you know what George Payton told him?
What?
I'm not trading my quarterback in the middle of a playoff run.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the thing, right? For you, Cease, always thinking about you, man. It's funny how every time, whatever happens with the Broncos now, it's every the show day? Within the show, every day in the show within the show. It's like whatever happens with the Broncos, I think Kate said to me today, she's like, "Oh, Cecil's going to be probably mad because now the Broncos are can make everybody think they're good again, and he's going to have to tell everybody like they're not actually good. They don't know what they're doing, and you have to rebuild your case all over again. Maybe they're on a playoff run. I don't know because the way this offense looked, like you said, Cecil, you're going to take a running back in the early second round. You got to use him." If you think he can influence the game, you have to give him chances to do that, and he did. Melvin Gordon renewed. You've been talking about that all year. Patrick making a play. I think you said to people, don't shut him down. Jerry Jeudy with Cortland Sutton on the outside. But yeah, Teddy, and you always like seeing success for Teddy. And of course, sees the other, and by the way, Denver, Philadelphia next week. So these mercurial teams. Is there a team in the NFL that's not mercurial now? They're all, it depends on what you're going to get. I mean, it's just, if they were human beings, they'd be tough to be friends with because you just you'd not know who you were going to be talking to the next time you saw them, right?
Right.
But they're playing Philadelphia Pistols. We got to mention Jonathan Cooper. And you mentioned Jonathan Cooper already on this show. But that's another reason why the game that maybe turns their season around is the game first one without Von Miller.
Yeah, Jonathan Cooper, 7th round pick, only because of heart issues, and the biggest part of his game is his heart. It's fantastic. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. There's your drink. And I actually did a Broncos TV interview, and the headline was, Lammey says Broncos need Cooper.
Yeah.
And then they drafted him. So, hey,
Woo.
There you go. Take your wins when you can. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about Dallas. Do we really have to talk about Dallas, though? Like, Dalton Schultz, 454, Amari Cooper, 237, drops left and right. Now, Prescott seemed off. He just did, Bloom. You can tell me if you agree with that, but there were some passes that were a little off the mark. I thought he was rushing through some decisions. Mechanically, it wasn't true. I don't know if he's doing the hip thing out there again before the thing. But like Cooper drops and then CeeDee Lamb had 9 targets, 9 times, 2 catches. Just nothing here. Nothing from Tony Pollard. Not really. I mean, a big catch, 1 for 32 yards. Zeke, 51 yards. Just nothing. And here's the kicker. The time of possession, they had the ball for like 12 minutes in a 60-minute football game. So, of course, their fantasy numbers are low.
Yeah. Well, and Denver hasn't exactly turned into a shutdown defense, but everything, it was like the part of the movie where the music changes and everything's going to turn around at the beginning of the game when they go for that 4th down, and in the script that we all expect to play out. Of course, Dallas gets the first down. They just matriculate the ball down the field. They get a touchdown. They start to show they're going to have a successful day, and they stop him. Ooh, this is going to be different, right? Next drive, same thing. 4th down and 2, I think.
Right.
Stop him. This is going to be different. Denver's players exercising free will, right? Because like the narratives or the momentum going into the game, what should happen based on the results in the first 8 weeks. And then there was that weird blocked punt, right? They block the punt, they touch it, and then Denver gets it because it's like the Leon Lett play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that kind of.
So you keep the ball even though Dallas blocked the punt.
Right. Right. And it was that kind of day. And we were waiting for it in some ways, the other shoe to drop, right? Because there's no way that Dallas Cowboys could be the class of the NFL. That would especially be a weird outcome. That would maybe be weirder than finding out, no, Dallas can still shoot themselves in the foot. But it was a bit alarming seeing Dak Prescott play this way. It was the worst game in his career by some sort of expected EPA metric or something like that. Just you don't need a metric to tell you that, like you said, he was off. He wasn't really adding a lot. And then, for fantasy, what is it? Turner catching the touchdown. So it was just that kind of day. Like you felt really empty. And Dallas, they turn around and play Atlanta. Boy, that's another game. See, what did you say before this? Tripping, glands. Anyway, that was Atlanta, New Orleans today. Atlanta and Dallas next week. I don't know what to make of any of these teams. There were so many results today that you just had to rub your eyes and say, well, do I believe what I've already seen? Because I don't believe what I'm seeing now.
Tripping Yarbles, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all know what's tripping. Yeah. We all know that New England and Carolina. What did Robbie Anderson mouth to Sam Darnold? Like, what the F, bro? Like, whatever he said. Like, it wasn't good. 24-6. It wasn't good for Carolina. They're 4-5. And then New England is 5-4. Mac Jones, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, 139 yards passing. And the passing touchdown goes to Hunter Henry. So there's your bingo. Ramondre Stevenson and Brandon Bolden did work as a receiver, but not much. 2 for 44, 2 for 27, respectively. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 34 to be the leading receiver that's actually a receiver. And Ramondre Stevenson, 10 for 62. So this backfield backup situation continues. By the way, Brandon Bolden, 8 for 54. Damian Harris had a rushing touchdown and 15 for 30 yards in this one. So New England gets the win. And again, it's just kind of ugly. This is who the Patriots are going to be.
Winning ugly. We'll see if they can get to the playoffs, what it can do in the playoffs. But exactly, see I'm thinking about in wrestling, when we pull the foreign object out of your trunks and the ref doesn't see it and everyone in the crowd's like, oh, no. Like, that's the Belichick ball. I mean, in this game, Mac Jones actually did that, right? Like Brian Burns strip sacks him and then Mac Jones grabs his ankle and look, he kind of tackles him by like sitting on the, I mean, I don't know that he intended to hurt Brian Burns, who he did hurt, but he grabbed him by the ankle and pulled him down and twisted his leg down, I mean, the real heel in this one. And that's fine. That's a comfort zone for this team. For fantasy, it's also like that, right? And Johnny Smith got banged up. Maybe there's something there with Hunter Henry. Ramondre Smith looks good, started to do more. And I think coming out of this one, I didn't see the final definitive word, whether he had a concussion, whether Damian Harris had a concussion, so that could be a mess. But the backfield is going to be the forward face for fantasy of this offense, the passing game, nothing. And that's just the way they like it. And they get to play. Here's a fascinating matchup for you, Cease. It's the Belichick Bowl, right? Playing Cleveland next week. Ooh. And again, and again, Cease, it's like, it's New England playoff team, it's Cleveland a playoff team. Are they good? There's so many questions about every single team now. And in some ways, it can be clarifying and make watching the game more exciting, because then it boils back down to like your identity and settling things into your identity and like pulling a game into the kind of game that you can win or you have a better chance of winning. And some of it's just will. I mean, it's just human emotion and will. And like I said, the players actually authoring the game instead of things being on autopilot, although maybe Carolina would prefer an autopilot, anything else in the pilot seat than what they have now.
Well, speaking of robots, C-3PO would be more agile and
the autopilot from Airplane. Remember that guy?
That's true. There you go. Sam Darnold with 3 picks, 172 yards passing. Christian McCaffrey was back, 52 yards rushing, 54 yards receiving. Chuba Hubbard got 33 yards receiving and 3 yards rushing. So, McCaffrey's back and he gets 100 yards. Okay, that's good, but fantasy jams might have wanted more, expected more, what have you. And there is literally no one else to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Other than the Robbie Anderson, like, what the F, bro, or whatever he said to him. I'm sure there were some cuss words there, but like there's nothing here. And even though with the hot start, much like the Broncos, and I said, Matt Rule just doesn't seem like a good head coach. Knowing a little bit of the stuff from Teddy and how Teddy had to go through some stuff last year, I'm like, I just don't think he gets it. And they get beat like this. There's nothing of note offensively. Defensively can't make plays. Like, I just don't think Matt Rule gets it. I don't think he's a good head coach.
Yeah. We know that Sam Darnold's not a good quarterback, right? Okay, you tried something. You tried Sam Darnold. They were in the market for just about anybody and anything. And in some ways you can see why, or at least that's going to be back where they are. You can tell. I mean, there's no confidence.
They should get back in the Deshaun Watson conversation, even though Miami seemed to have taken that over. Like, no, you pay up.
Or who knows? I mean, the NFL, who knows what is going to be there, what's going to be available come the offseason. But it's not Darnold. Darnold's not the answer. The team had Brian Burns. Now he's a keeper again. He gets a turnover. Stephon Gilmore getting an interception against Belichick. He had to enjoy that. But they just get field goals. I mean, this is not a team that's going to win just getting field goals, even though they do have a good pass defense. And then Darnold's interceptions they're just killers. I mean, it is the kind of thing, Cease, I think that can make a team lose their nerve eventually, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the feeling that this team is exuding right now. J.C. Jackson had a couple of interceptions, including a long one for a touchdown for New England. So that New England defense, again, if you thought, hey, it's even better that Darnold's playing, even though P.J. Walker's not good either, you were right if you played that New England defense. Carolina gets Arizona next week. Again, if there is a class of the league, at least coming out of this week, it is Arizona. Carolina has to go back to class to learn. They're just going to be adrift until they get a quarterback, and like you say, Cease, maybe a head coach.
How do you feel when I say the name Cleveland Browns? Right? Cleveland Browns. You must feel pretty good. Cleveland over Cincinnati, and boy, that's falling apart. 41-16 is the final score. Bengals are 5-4. They're plucky, but the Browns are 5-4, and they're pluckier. Led by Baker, the baby maker, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, 218 yards passing. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Don't even look it up. Just see the deep play, see the big receiver. You're like, oh, that's Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's his favorite guy. 2 for 86 and a touch. And then the other touchdown was David Njoku as that tight end continues. That circle goes round and round. Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, David Njoku, whatever is whatever. And then Nick Chubb, 14 carries, 137 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, a long of 70, averaging almost 10 yards a carry. Throws in a couple of catches for 26 yards as well. Nick Chubb, best running back in the game. Well, now that Derrick Henry's hurt, you can say that with certainty, and certainty was what the Browns look like today. Confidence-building win against their, state mates in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the Gruden situation, right? Addition by subtraction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense, right? The Browns are better without Odell. Matthew Bingham in the chat room bring that up, the conversation. And it's over, right? The conversation's over. They are better without Odell. They are. And it doesn't have to be because Odell can't play anymore. He's washed up or something. I hope that he has a good next chapter in his career wherever he ends up. All right.
In New Orleans.
I mean, okay. That'd be fun. I mean, that'd be good for him. We'll see if someone claims him. I don't know. I didn't see definitive word on whether the contract got restructured. So
it did. Easy. So what he did, and it's very interesting. I would rather talk about the contract than this game. Yeah. So he reduced it so that he's a free agent next year. So he's a rental for anybody. And then he kept the money because keeping that money at $7.5 million remaining. No one's going to claim him on waivers.
Right.
So he'll go through waivers unclaimed, and then he will get to choose where he wants to go, which is probably New Orleans.
Yeah, well, New Orleans needs to pick me up now. So I think armchair diagnosis, speaking out of another orifice, I think that obviously the Odell Baker, the dynamic was never good. Okay. And you can call it chemistry. You could try to reduce it down to some football thing, like working out together, needed perfect timing. But you can see how, like, if Odell didn't have confidence in Baker, then it would then translate to Baker's confidence in himself. Right. And when Odell's out there on the field with him, it just causes him to shrink up, And when Odell's not out there, you can relax. Yeah? I mean, that's my working theory on this. This looked like a relaxed team, right? This looked like a team that could exhale and just play their game. And what's their game? And this is what's fun about this Browns team, Cease. And I love it for Jared. Got to give you a call, Jared. I love it because they have that. I'm coming back to boxing more and more, Cease, when I think about football. Because another thing about boxing is, and what we're seeing in this season, is that no matter how much you can dominate your opponent strategically and tactically, until you have knocked them out, until the fight is over, they can always stagger you or beat you with one punch.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the Browns, right? I mean, as a boxer, like that's Nick Chubb, right? Boom, 70-yard touchdown run, right? Just as the Bengals are trying to claw back into the game, right? Mm-hmm. Donovan Peoples-Jones, boom, boom. Just, again, it's the way that they can assert control over the game. And, it's comfortable for them. It's comfortable for Baker Mayfield. And, of course, and from a fantasy standpoint, it's that simple. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones is what the heck flex every week. Jarvis Landry's just not going to be as much there because they don't need as much to be there. As long as they get performances from this defense, from this defense. And then this is how we can transition. Again, Cleveland, New England next week. Boy, is that an intriguing game. Boy, I could see also this Cleveland team actually kind of checkmating Belichick with what the elements they have on defense right now. I would imagine Belichick's not looking forward to having to defend Nick Chubb in this offense. But what you have here is the Bengals go down the field. Denzel Ward, 90, I think it was to Higgins, the target. 99-yard touchdown return. Oh, what, just a breathtaking change in the first drive of the game. And you also have Greg Newsome, the first-round pick, just harassing Jamar Chase, who, like, rookie against rookie. Jamar Chase, rookie of the year, right? No, not in this game. Greg Newsome, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Man, even the other A.J. Green, on a day that the other Josh Allen beat Josh Allen, the other A.J. Green was making plays today. So you just got to love what this Cleveland team did. And you knew it, right? Cincinnati Bengals, number 1 seed in the AFC. It was the introduction to a horror movie, Cecil. And it got even gorier today.
Unite Santini says Odell needs a better quarterback, but is the Saints quarterback situation any better? Hey, if you're the Chiefs, you could always try.
Yeah.
You could always try something other than hoping your opponent's quarterback gets COVID. Joe Burrow. Oh, Coof. Damn it. Bloom. Right. Coof.
It's spreading.
Sorry,
it's contagious.
YouTube. Sorry, I apologize. Joe Burrow, a couple of picks in this one. T. Higgins, 6 for 78. Jamar Chase, 6 for 49. Joe Mixon, 2 rushing touchdowns, 64 yards on the ground, and then 5 for 46 as a receiver. CJ Uzomah, 4 for 24. That one's back in the bottle. So the Bengals tried. They just failed miserably, and anytime they popped up, it was like whack-a-mole. Yeah. Cleveland knew what hole they were going to try for.
Yeah, and what are the Bengals? Like 5-3, right?
5-4. 5-4.
5-4. But I mean, look, at this point, especially considering some of the performances they've had, overall, you would judge this as a success. This first 9 games of the season for this Bengals team, where they are at in their trajectory.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel like that.
No.
Not going into the bye on this. No. And so for fantasy, whatever. The fantasy takeaways, they're there. I mean, Tyler Boyd was back for a week and then back to the waiver wire. Mixon looks great, and now he gets to rest. So I mean, he's going to key this with Joe Burrow. I mean, it's like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back with Burrow, because some of the interceptions he's had. I mean, it's good in so much that Burrow mentally is going to be a very confident player, is going to trust what he sees, and is going to make throws. He's not going to leave throws on the field, right? If he sees throws, he's going to try those throws, and he's back out at that edge of figuring out where the limit is. But unfortunately, we're seeing more often now him having those throws that he would want to take back, even though he's making a lot of good throws that shows where he's headed. So, going into the bye, I think it's just, you almost want to hit the reset button on this season for the Bengals, because on offense and on defense, look what they did to Lamar Jackson. I mean, this is Lamar Jackson's season, right? I mean, this is a Lamar Jackson season, but on that afternoon, the Bengals had his number. So if they can just get everything lined up, if they can just eliminate the mistakes, it can be there. But we're talking about every team in the NFL right now, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Okay. I almost kind of just want to talk about this all at once.
Yeah.
And I want to set it up by saying this. Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen, and Josh Allen couldn't get going against Josh Allen. And it was like a time-space continuum thing where the NFL gods were like, this is too confusing. Buffalo, you lose. And Urban Meyer is getting wasted tonight, allegedly. 9-6. Some libations, right, Bloom? Although you're drinking water tonight. No local IPAs. Anyway, 9-6, Jacksonville over Buffalo. Vegas. Recovery. That's what it's called. I'm just going to throw both teams at you. What the hell, bro?
Yeah. What the hell? Wow. Like you said, those of you that really like the question, are we in a simulation, and is there a glitch in the matrix and that kind of
talk. It's more likely that we are in a simulation than that we are not.
Well, as a philosopher, I would say that really what we're going to talk about at this point is, what is the definition of the word simulation? Is it meaningful even? Because we can make a definition of simulation that fits the thing that we're in, but what does it really shed in terms of our understanding of ourselves? That's the more important question. But really, the question here about this game is, what happens when you have Josh Allen meets Josh Allen crossing the street? I mean, Josh Allen picked off Josh Allen. Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen basically to end this game. Josh Allen had Josh Allen's number in this game. Yeah. It's fun to revel in the absurdity, because it was an absurd, glitchy. Was it 14
the first time it ever happened? The first time someone with their same name, sacked the other.
Yeah. So, it does lend credence to the idea that we're in some sort of simulation, because it's exactly the thing that happens in our computer, like our databases, right? Like, you see it sometimes even in Footballguys. We have so many great people behind the scenes, but we have 2 Lamar Jacksons, we have 2 Michael Carters on the same team. We have two AJ Greens, right? I mean, it causes problems sometimes in our systems. And it really caused a problem here. Zach Moss had a concussion. It was that day. And I guess Josh Allen is a variance quarterback in a way, but we've just seen fewer and fewer games of that low, bad variance for him that we don't expect him to come. Certainly not against Jacksonville. So, a lot of these outcomes again today sees determining the top 5 in the draft. Meanwhile, Detroit's sitting at home thinking, yes, Jacksonville win. Yes, Miami win. Yes, we love it. They're cheering. That's who this day is about. This day is about the Detroit Lions, right? So Buffalo goes back to the Jets. I mean, we'll see. The Jets have beaten the Bengals and the Titans, so nothing is a foregone conclusion. The Bills' defense was also giving up long drives. Now, they were also getting the Jags to settle for field goals. Trevor Lawrence got a little banged up in this one. Carlos Hyde, very inefficient, had a fumble with no James Robinson out there. Right? I mean, when James Robinson's out, there's no way the Jags can win this game. But in some ways, this is like, if the Jags are going to win a game against a good team, this is how they're going to win it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this turn it into, again, a street fight, a Josh Allen against Josh Allen fight. So how do you like being a spoiler, Jags? Because you get the Indianapolis Colts next.
Indianapolis, you are up next, and a game that we can actually talk about, that we will break down. It is Houston. And it is Miami. And the Houston side, was it Gina earlier in the chat room? Damn, Gina.
Tyrod. Oh, he's Tyrod. He's Tyrod because he was bad.
He's Tyrod because he's bad. 3 INTs. Why doesn't Davis Mills play the rest of the season?
I mean, at this point now.
And I'm not even a Davis Mills fan before the draft because I was like 11 games. What do we really know about him? He's hurt a lot and he throws wildly. Like, how about you see if he can make it through? Because there was a little something there with him. It was but no. Tyrod, don't call me Tyrod, is back, and he's awful. And Brandon Cooks had 6 for 56. Brandon Cooks and Allen Robinson need to get together for a drink. Dammy Amendola, 3 for 49. Nobody started him. Nobody starts Phillip Lindsay. Just nobody cares about the Houston side. Miami side's a little more interesting, Bloom. So, But let's get through this Houston thing because, again, it's confusing.
Well, I mean, the loss keeps Houston in contention. Tyrod Taylor had an interception that was 2nd and 18 inside of his own 20 with like a minute left in the half. How does that happen? I mean, that's like especially if you're Tyrod Taylor, your one job is to not do that. It's the first thing on the list. What are my to-do list today? Don't throw interceptions backed up against your own goal line when there's like a minute left in the half.
Right.
And
you're known as the guy who doesn't do that anyway.
Right, exactly. That's why you even have a job in the NFL at this point. That's why Anthony Lynn loved you. But it's a better draft position for them. These teams each had a win. See, this was a game. Here's my note on this game. They should have paid the people who came to this game. They should not have to pay for their tickets. They should get paid.
Or at least pay for parking.
Yeah. For free nachos, a beer, something.
Right. So something. Dolphins side, the Tua thing, when did that come down?
This morning.
I'm doing the pregame show. I'm doing the pregame show, and all of a sudden across the screen, breaking news, and it's Tua's got a finger fracture. And so it's Jacoby Brissett, and he gets the win in spite of him. I don't know.
In spite of himself.
Yeah, a couple picks, a touchdown that goes to Mac Hollins. Nobody started. Jalen Waddle, 8 for 83. Mike Gesicki, 4 for 54. Durham Smythe, 2 for 27. Myles Gaskin, 20 for 34 and 1 rushing touchdown. So 6 for 23 as a receiver. So PPR leagues.
Yeah.
You got a little something there, but man alive, Dolphins, curious.
Yeah.
With the Dolphins.
Yeah, see, whether it's Tua's broken finger, and they're playing on Thursday again, so I don't know if we're going to see Tua Thursday. We see more be Jacoby Brissett, which is fine. I mean, there's worse. There's a lot worse out there than Jacoby Brissett, but come on. I mean, you know where you're headed with Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. Myles Gaskin did scratch out. I mean, here's Miami's offense. If you give a running back 28 touches, 27 touches, however he had, he can have a good fantasy day. Good in terms of 15 points, mainly because he had 6 receptions and got a touchdown on a direct snap. Otherwise, there was nothing going in the running game here. You did have Waddle, Gesicki, because he had a great one-handed catch. They had, still not going to tilt the week in your favor, but not be a liability. Really, in this game, you just want to say, sorry, Eagles. This win maybe could cost them a top 5 pick when it's all said and done. The fact that the schedule makers put Miami against Houston, probably not going to get another win to help hurt the Eagles' first round pick status there against Baltimore. Again, Thursday coming up, the Dolphins. Oh boy.
Hey, sorry, Miami. Ooh, and then apologies to New Orleans. Okay, we're going to talk about this one and some good things. Falcons and Saints, 27-25 the final score. The Falcons get the win. Matt Ryan, couple of touchdowns, both of them to Olamide Zaccheaus, and I think I got that right. Cordell Patterson is just a great story to root for, dude, for multiple reasons, but I don't know if you saw the quote where he's like, my mom had 3 jobs. It's not a big deal for me to like play different positions or whatever. He's like, my mom had 3 jobs, so if she could do that, I can do this. And I don't want to give away any secrets, but on my Madden Ultimate team, I have Cordell Patterson as one of my reserve receivers. And if I'm ever down, Bloom, I throw him in, I run a go route or a stop and go, pump fake, and launch it to him. It gets it every time. It's a great like Madden trick. Little, you have those money plays. Every game day 98 had the quick slant plays. Like you always got it, always got it, always got it. Cordell Patterson in Madden, he's better in real life than he is in Madden. And how many players can say that? Matt Ryan rushing touchdown. Patterson 126 yards receiving. It's just awesome. Russell Gage 7 for 64. Kyle Pitts 3 for 62. It's enough. It's enough. Please, enough. But guys that did a little more last week, like a Tajay Sharp, 1 for 12 this week. So Atlanta gets the win, but this game very curious, mainly on the New Orleans side, but with Atlanta too.
Yeah, Cease. I mean, I don't know, the noon local start on a Sunday for the Saints. I mean, the Tampa game started at like 3:25 local time, so maybe that's just need a little more time after Saturday night. I don't know. It was Halloween weekend. Matt Ryan threw over the New Orleans defense. Spoiler alert. I mean, let's just talk about the game first before we get into any side, one side or the other side. The Falcons dominated this game. The Falcons, for the first 3 quarters, absolutely dominated this game. The Saints ate the fish. The Saints were just terrible. They all had food poisoning. I don't know. Chipotle. Well, I shouldn't do that. Now there goes our Chipotle endorsement. I actually like Chipotle as quote-unquote barbacoa. That's not really barbacoa. Anyway, he 24-6. And then one in the fourth quarter. And then one thing leads to another, and it's 25-24. The Saints somehow end up with the lead and give the ball back to the Falcons with a minute left. The one thing you can't do is let them complete a pass over your head. It's the one thing. It's the only thing. It's the Minneapolis Miracle all over again, Cease. It's like the one thing. Right. It was Cordell Patterson making the play, and the Falcons win. It would have gone down as one of the best fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history, Cease. Right?
Yeah.
18 points in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's top
it's
5
right
or
up
10.
there with Peyton Manning, against the Buccaneers, right? Colts, Buccaneers.
The Miracle in the Meadowlands, Kevin Boss, and there's some other ones back there.
It doesn't happen that often.
No, there've been 23-point comebacks, 21, 18 points is, 5 or 10 times maybe in NFL history. And Trevor Siemian wasn't doing anything, and then Trevor Siemian was doing something. Mark Ingram was doing his thing out of the backfield. Alvin Kamara. I'm jumping ahead. I'm doing both sides here because, and for fantasy, again, see, it's weird. It's Weird Sunday. Weird week 9. Does this mean Matt Ryan's back? I mean, we know we can't run on the Saints. So we just pencil that in every week. Although, we'll see next week Tennessee, but you can't run on the Saints, but you can pass on the Saints. So the Ryan comes back to life. Dallas's defense looks like they're wilting. Maybe Ryan keeps it going. Maybe Ryan has another 130-yard passing day. I don't know, but we know that we're leaving Patterson in. Probably Pitts. There was more there for him, even though he got a lot of Marshawn Lattimore, just as we would have expected. So that's the treatment. Next week, Trevon Diggs on Pitts. I don't know. That could be actually kind of good for Pitts. Zaccheaus, Gage doing a little bit more. So Atlanta against Dallas. And then, for New Orleans, I'm just handling this one like Buffalo, Jacksonville, just because to me, the way the game went overshadows any fantasy. And then whatever, there's nobody from the New Orleans passing game you're going to play.
Right.
You're just going to play Alvin Kamara and maybe Mark Ingram if you need a what the heck play. But Ingram, he still caught 5 passes in this one. You can go ahead and recite the numbers if you want.
This is the thing that I was going to say. Just
Yeah.
run through the numbers, whatever is whatever. This is what you get with Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
Now, the end of the game is one thing, so whatever happened there. But it's Atlanta's defense, right? Does Atlanta's defense scare anybody? But this is Trevor Siemian. So the
Right.
Saints, you should have known better.
Yeah.
You should have known better, man, and up your price for Teddy or go get Cam or start Taysom.
Right. Next
whatever
week,
your
maybe.
answer is, as long as it's not Trevor Siemian, you made the right choice.
Right. And Hill came in for 2 completions in the fourth quarter, and you would have thought at that point maybe you would have went back to Hill, but they went back to Siemian, and Siemian actually answered the bell at that point. So I don't know. We're going to have a quarterback situation to monitor again, New Orleans and Tennessee next week. And then New Orleans is another team, Cease. I mean, even with the Winston injury, you thought, okay, you have Taysom Hill, you have this defense that sometimes says, we got this. They beat Tom Brady. They sent him home with his tail between his legs last week, and they overcame losing Winston. Siemian came in, was part of that, but where are they at? Where do they stand? This is just a season like no other season. There's not been another season where everyone's weakened, everyone's bleeding internally, blood coming out of their nose or their ear or something. You know what I mean? Everyone's dragging themselves forward because this is the nature of an NFL season. But it is just the depth charges that these teams are taking week after week. It is something to behold.
Something to surprise you, like the Atlanta Braves celebration bus driving through Atlanta. What was Sandra Bullock driving that thing?
Yeah,
keeping her 55. Did you see the video?
No.
So here's a baseball reference.
Yeah.
So the people are lined up for the parade, right?
Right.
Actual speed of the video, they're going like 30 miles an hour, 40
man.
miles an hour. So I mean, parades, it's supposed to be like 5 miles an hour wave. You jump off, shake hands, jump back on. No, their bus was hauling ass. It was straight out of Speed. Whoa.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh well, if I mention Keanu, we got to get a Keanu reference in every show, right? To all of you out there, it is Chargers and Eagles. Hey, Chargers and Eagles. This one was a little more fun than we thought. We weren't quite sure, and then we're usually not quite sure about Philadelphia. But the Chargers get the win. They're 27-24. They are 5-3, and the Chargers 3-6. Justin Herbert, couple of touchdowns, 356 yards. Keenan Allen, 12 for 104 in this one. Mike Williams, 2 for 58. He wanted more. He wanted more. 5 targets, just 5 targets. 13 targets for Keenan Allen. Jared Cook, 4 for 48. Donald Parham, Stetson. Where's your cowboy hat? Had a receiving touchdown. Steven Anderson also had a receiving touchdown as well. Austin Eckler, 59 yards on the ground. And then 3 for 23 as a receiver. Not much else from anyone else, but oh boy. Chargers that got a little nerve-wracking there. If you're a Chargers fan thinking, this should be an easier win. And Philadelphia said no.
No, yeah, and this is still potentially a game that can allow this team to grow. And again, Cease, we can rewind a month ago. The Chargers are one of the teams that class the NFL. You go to the Philadelphia and you eke out a win against Philly. Does that equal class the NFL? I don't know, but it's a win. A win's a win. And Cease, maybe this year especially, we need to narrow our focus and just see. And this is where Baltimore comes in, right? Okay. Do you figure out how to win? Whatever situation you're up to. It reminds me of The Running Man. Wasn't that movie awesome? That Schwarzenegger movie?
Yes, it was.
Right? Because it's kind of like
very
those...
underrated.
Right. Post-apocalyptic. I think it's Stephen King, right? Based on Stephen King. But you're dropped into this situation with some sort of menacing figure in some sort of environment that you have to figure out. And maybe
it's
at first...
I'll use a more modern reference.
Well, I haven't watched Squid Game yet, so I'm not...
Spoiler alert, it's Squid Game.
It's Squid Game. So it's not so much at first does it disorient you or weaken you or otherwise land some blows. It's you get your bearings and figure out how to win. Just win, even if it's just win by a little bit. And that's what Justin Herbert did in this one. And he had been outmaneuvered by Belichick. He was coming in a slump in this one. The Ravens just owned them in that game. So coming in a slump, and I guess in this NFL, and look, they didn't catch the Eagles on a bad day or anything like that. The Eagles have a kind of a new identity we'll talk about. But what you can see with Justin Herbert is he can do that thing, man. Like Andrew Luck early in his career. It's I'm going to figure out a way for us to win this game. And it's not an I thing in terms of ego. It's like, I know that I'm going to have to make these plays. Like, if we're going to win today, I'm going to have to do it, and I can do it. So get on board.
He's got to protect himself, because there was that one rush where he was trying to do that, Bloom, and he's tall and he can't get down low. It's like,
there's a lot to hit. Yeah,
just slide, Bobo, slide.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, and it's something that I think that, again, when you start to fast forward season, you think about the tournament, you think about the playoffs, it's going to come down to a quarterback, and having that trust in your quarterback, Baltimore again, is something that can get some of these teams through these tough spots like they were in. Keenan Allen returned to his old form. And yeah, like you said, Mike Williams didn't do as much, but it was there maybe to be a bigger day. And I wonder if he's a buy low at this point, because it wasn't as disappointing as the stat line indicates. And then you have the tight ends, and Eckler, of course, is Eckler. But then you have the tight ends. And you had Parham and making some skillful plays. Parham's a future. He really is going to be someone, Cease, that is eventually going to be every year, at least, we're going to draft him as a top 10 or top 12 tight end. Are there a lot of tight ends we start every week and feel good about? I don't know, but his time is coming, without a doubt. You can see it in his game. Even Steven Anderson made something happen this one. Jared Cook, I think he completed like 10 passes to his tight ends and 2 of his touchdowns. So you see him using those players well, that role in the offense well. And Minnesota's coming. So again, these mercurial teams, like, what day do you catch them on? How do they play against each other? And for Philadelphia, you see a very unlikely return on weird week 9. Of course, there's got to be some weirdness from the Eagles too.
Of course, it's weirdness from the Eagles. Where's our man Jason Wood? By the way, Ray in the chat room says, I can't remember a season where I had this little of an idea who the front runners for the Super Bowl
You don't want to be a front runner. That's the one thing you don't want to be, right? Like, watch Miami beat Baltimore next week.
Do you know what it is? And this is, we've had a baseball reference. You'll probably bring up hockey, against my wishes. Anyway, this is like college basketball.
Sure.
Right? Where you get the number 1 seed. Oh, Duke's number 1 seed. Oh, my God, they got beat. North Carolina's number 1 seed. Oh, my God, they got beat.
Pull them down,
Yeah, exactly. Gonzaga. Oh, my God, they got beat. Yeah, that's what it is. I think the NFL is moody.
Well,
it's
emotional.
You look at the league as a health status, right? A whole, I think the league is moody. Eagles and Jordan Howard continuing to make me look incorrect, because I was like, who the hell wants Jordan Howard? Well, if you got Jordan Howard and you plugged him in because you were desperate running back, 17 for 71 and a rushing touchdown. Mm-hmm. Okay. Kenneth Gainwell had a rushing touchdown there as well. Jalen Hurts, 62 yards rushing, 162 yards passing touchdown to Devontae Smith, because Devontae Smith did almost everything. 5 for 116 and a touch with that speed, reaching out for the goal line. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 43, some tough catches in this one there as well. And really, I mean, no one's starting Quez Watkins anyway, but 2 for 9. And then Jalen Reagor, 1 for -6. Reagor will be one of those players like, look at all the receivers drafted after him. So here you go, Philadelphia. You put up a fight. You travel to play the Broncos this upcoming week. I don't know what the hell to expect from this team.
Well, in some ways it makes sense, In some ways it makes sense that a defense that is preparing to handle this Jalen Hurts. And this Jalen Hurts, he doesn't have a great process in the pocket. He's not going to break down a pass defense with his mind and his patience from the pocket, but he can be dangerous as a runner. He can be dangerous whenever the play goes outside the bounds of a typical NFL passing play. So it actually makes sense that you would be able to just run downhill on that kind of defense, a defense that's thinking that way going into the week, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Jordan Howard can do. That's what Jordan Howard's good at. And it's working. And by the way, it was the Chargers' run defense. Maybe this is probably one that we chalk up to weird week 9. I don't know. Denver's run defense?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
So we'll see. I mean, next week. But why not? Why wouldn't you go with this? Set up Jalen Hurts in easier, more digestible down and distances on third downs. Try to make the game easier for him. And Devontae Smith now takes his turn as he can feed one mouth. Jalen Hurts in the passing game a week. And that's inconvenient for fantasy when it changes like it has. But some of it's testament to what Dallas Goedert can do, what Devontae Smith can do. Denver's defense, I can't say necessarily Denver's defense had a great day today, Cease, but they were great when they needed to be great to win that game and to win it decisively. So, again, weird teams. The weird thing here is that the better the Eagles play, the worse Jalen Hurts is for fantasy. right? Like if you have Jalen Hurts, you want the Eagles to suck. You want him to suck, right?
Yeah.
You want him to like throw some pick sixes, right?
Yeah.
And then in the second half, he can run and he can get some touchdowns, probably some rushing touchdowns. So yeah, that's fantasy football. That's week 9. That's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Good news for Jalen Hurts fantasy GMs. I give you Vic Fangio.
Right. Every day.
Every day. Did I skip Raiders and Giants?
Oh, let's go back to
I'm looking at that like, okay, Raiders, Giants, let's talk about it. And then we'll get to Arizona, San Francisco, Green Bay, Kansas City. And then we got to get to the Titans Rams game, which is going on. We're not going to recap it. I just want to watch it. Bloom. I just want to watch.
Sure.
23-16, the final score of the Giants over the Raiders. Raiders couldn't do what they needed to do, but Darren Waller did for you, 7 for 92. Kenyon Drake had 6 for 70 as a receiver, 4 for 30 as a rusher. There's 100 yards. Josh Jacobs, 13 for 76. Hunter Renfrow, 7 for 149 and a touch. The lone passing touchdown for Derek Carr was to Hunter Renfrow. So if you did play Renfrow, good job. This team dealing with a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And, didn't show up on Sunday.
There were some plays. I mean, it was there. It was still there. It was there down to the end for this team. And kind of like Dallas, they just, when the game said this is an important play, the game sometimes ceased before the play. Like the crowd feels it, the players feel it. You know that in a typical game, I don't know how many plays there are, like 120, 130. I don't know. But there's always 5 or 10 plays you could say, like, these are the plays the game hinged on. And sometimes we don't know it until after like play happens and manifests. But sometimes you know before the play, like this is going to be a really important play, fourth down, etc.
Yes.
You know, and the just like the Dallas lost all those plays today, they lost all of them, right? That's what happened to the Raiders on offense in this one. They were settling for field goals. There was a pick 6 to open the second half, missing a field goal. If you're going to settle for field goals, that's one thing. And then you're missing a field goal. You know, they're turning the ball over. Otherwise, the offense was good, and they moved the ball. So you can see now, no John Gruden. Kenyon Drake is catching passes and doing things and making himself a worthy fantasy play. It was there for – this team had so many scoring opportunities today. So Josh Jacobs is a buy low. He's looking good coming out of the bye. We'll talk a little more about this, Cecil. I'm not that worried about the Raiders out of this game. I mean, I just think that almost like they could have. Should a team be allowed to take a mental health day, Cecil? Should a team be able to say, can we do like cash in our mental health buy? Like we just decided like we need a buy right now. You know, we could really use it because I don't want to hold this against them too much. Waller, there was an easy touchdown that Derek Carr missed, or Waller had a better day. It was a better day there for Carr, better day there for this whole team. But we talk about this more every week. I like us bringing up the idea of the social organism that a team is. And you can't even, what they've had to deal with this week, I mean, there's probably still processing it, Cease. They're probably still, they're numb probably.
They probably won't process it till after the season. Truly process.
Yeah. I mean, this is way bigger than football. And there's a sense of family and there's a sense of shared fate. And when somebody that you have that feeling with that is part of something like that, then it's just so that they went out there and they gave the Giants a credible fight today and really should have won the game. They could have been easily the winner. I think this team's going to be okay. The Giants. The funny thing is for the Giants, this is exactly the kind of win they'd be like, they saved Gettleman's job.
Right. Hey, everybody's safe. Except for those who started Kadarius Toney. There was a meme, and it was Jason Garrett, like, I don't know, sticking his head out the window like a dog in a car, you know what I mean? Like when the wind's blowing, and Jason Garrett, like, Kadarius Toney, 60 minutes of football, 1 target. Thanks, Jason Garrett. Devontae Booker, 99 yards on the ground. Evan Ingram, 38 yards and a receiving touchdown. And, well, Kenny Golladay played. That's, surprising. Kadarius Toney did play, but you wouldn't notice that if you just looked at the box score. Same thing with Darius Slayton, right? So again, they win, but it's just very curious in the way that they do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it was some timely plays. Xavier McKinney, remember him? He was making some big plays for this team. And they ran the ball a lot. Evan Ingram caught a touchdown. weird week 9. See, we talked about Denver, right? This is how Denver wants to win. Like, this is how they want it to look when they win. Maybe this is kind of how the Giants want it to look when they win. Like, rely on other team making mistakes. Don't let Daniel Jones throw downfield, Just run the ball with our mediocre running backs. Elijah Penny got some run at Devontae Booker went off the hip thing a little bit late in this game. Otherwise, the offense was quiet because their defense, a bend but don't break defense, worked. How often do we say they owe it all to the bend but don't break defense, right? Because the bend allowed time to go off the clock so they could get to the end of the game. Because if the game doesn't end, they can't be declared the winner. But they didn't break. They only gave up field goals or missed field goals, or they stopped them, or maybe occasionally got a turnover, scored on one of those turnovers. And the Giants go into their bye as a team. You feel good for this team. But again, it's kind of a ghost ship. It's at some point, eventually ownership will realize Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman, that's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I realized that a watch party would be kind of fun. Remember we did the Ravens-Steelers one?
An impromptu watch party.
Yeah, impromptu watch party. And Matt Waldman had like the greatest night of his life. He loved making fun of us. So yeah, I mean, people do watch parties with like movies and stuff, like streaming. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we could do a watch party with the game. Not tonight, but sometime, Bloom. We should consider it because it'd be fun. Maybe not on this channel because I'd have to watch my mouth. But no. Very emotional, right? It's very emotional.
It'd be the Blammy cast.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Packers Chiefs. What did we see? 13-7, the final score. Kansas City gets the win.
Right.
Should they be happy about that? I mean, Jordan Love, he's out there playing YOLO ball, man.
Yeah.
I was watching Love closely, and mechanically there are so many things wrong with him. Just getting his receivers killed. Devontae Adams almost had a Robbie Anderson type moment on one of those plays where he almost got killed. Ball's like way behind him. He's jumping in the air, getting killed. Like it's just this kid's a first round pick. He sits for a year. You know what I mean? Like it's not guys that have had success, Cooper Rush coming in, or Mike Davis, whatever, just Mike White. Sorry, Mike White. Yeah. Like it's not that. It's a first round pick that you're getting rid of Rodgers for, and Rodgers is gone. And wherever he goes, probably Denver. I made some Broncos fans mad. I'll save that conversation off air, Bloom, because it involves the coof. But anyway,
right.
So yeah, Rodgers probably going to leave to go to Denver or whatever. And you're stuck with that guy. Right. It's not a good year for quarterback this year. And he's just, the way I described it is just YOLO ball. And you can't do that off. It's almost as if it was David Carr late in his career, right? Where he's just throwing off his back foot and he's so scared and he's so nervous. He had the Mickey Mouse gloves with Carolina, although he was rather better with Carolina. David Carr was. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I'm going to toss the whole game to you because the Chiefs just stink. I mean, that's just the bottom line. They stink.
Yeah.
And if Rodgers win this, they'd crushed them.
Yeah.
If Rodgers played, they'd have just crushed them. The Chiefs have no chance. They have no shot. And with Love, what we did see wasn't good. With the Chiefs, what can you take away? Because it was against Love, who's nervous to play and YOLO ball. And I've said that 3 or 4 times, so I'll stop and just give you the whole game because I don't really know what we gain from this one.
No. So, I'll start at it this way, okay? And you can just tell me I'm off base because I'm sure that, sometimes I don't even know if there is a base that I'm looking for, okay? But we know a lot about this Aaron Rodgers coup situation, right? Like more than we should, right?
Yeah, and you're only a moron if you thought he was lying, if you didn't listen to his first answer and I know what he's doing.
Right. Either way, my point is other information not from Rodgers has gotten out.
Yes.
Maybe, and I'm just speculating, okay? It's almost like the Packers are trying to distance themselves from him or otherwise create kind of a plausible deniability sense of where they were in relation to all this.
Right.
Whatever. It's 2021. Everyone just licks their fingers, feels which way the wind's blowing and tries to get not upwind, not downwind. Right? Mm-hmm. And the Packers maybe are trying to get up. Somebody is.
The Packers are trying to get points, and the people, right?
Yes,
is that
whoever it is.
The people are trying to get points.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's all weird. Why do I do this intro to this game? Right? Why am I even going there? Okay, it's because this was supposed to be the unveil of Jordan Love, right? This was supposed to be like, that's okay, everybody, because Jordan Love, even though you saw him as at Utah State, because in some ways, he's what you're describing as well. Some of what we saw of him at Utah State, like, I mean, in college, is supposed to simulate and show you the best of a quarterback, but we saw this in him. This is why some people are like, really, Jordan Love? That's the guy you're going to make Aaron Rodgers angry about? Like, that's the guy you're going to say, no, this is that important. And remember, Aaron Rodgers got in late in Favre's career and did actually make everybody feel like, oh, well, hey, that's the next guy. Everything's going to be okay. It was just the opposite in this one. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for LaFleur and Gutekunst and the Packers' future. It was a nightmare. It was like, I feel better with Mason Rudolph, Cease. You know? I mean, in terms of like the organization, if that's going to be the next step, because it just what it shows, because see, we have that same thing with our neurotic Steelers relationship where it's like, what's wrong with the people in the building that they look at Mason Rudolph and they think maybe we can make this work, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing when you're watching Jordan Love out there, and like you said, Javonte Adams, etc. You almost feel sorry for those guys because they got to go out there and they got to play and they got to leave it all out there and like risk their careers on every play, you know, knowing that they've got Jordan Love at quarterback. And in some ways, I don't want to put this all on Love because he was put in a can't-win situation. Whoever that quarterback, you know, you needed that quarterback to be like Baker Mayfield or someone with that kind of personality. Or maybe even like Lamar Jackson or Teddy Bridgewater, who are just internal and are going to internalize all that and already are in a struggle, right? Like Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar Jackson, when they fell in the first round, it was like, well, same as yesterday. I'm just going to keep struggling against expectations, right? But with Jordan Love gets drafted to be the replacement for Aaron Rodgers and sends the whole franchise into instability, that puts way too much on his shoulders. Way too much. And it looks like not only is he not capable of it, like he was just the wrong person for that, based on how he played. Things can change. Things can change these, but he looked like a deer in the headlights at times. He just looked in a way that, like, you were rooting for him in a way because you wanted him to at least show, like, hey, I'm Jordan Love. I have my own story too, right?
Right.
That, I mean, it's no. Love ain't it. I mean, maybe things can change. I don't want to make pronouncements after just one game, but you didn't see a lot to build on. And I think that rippled through like Packers hive mind, like Packers Nation.
And now the people who are trying to earn points, Bloom, social points, now you're in a precarious situation because you put yourself in like distancing from Rodgers. No, but Rodgers. Oh.
Right. The only hope for respectability. And then you have on the Kansas City side, look, for fantasy, Derrick Gore, that was a nice story for a little bit, I guess, not really for long. Travis Kelce looked pretty good. But
Tyreek Hill 4 for 37. That was it. You know,
right?
Why make McCall Hardman a thing? I've said it a zillion times. Like it's just, and the Josh Gordon thing. Like dudes.
Right. Maybe they can get Odell Beckham.
2012. Right. Get Odell Beckham. Cut McCall Hardman. Like just move on. Stop. And then Mahomes with these balls that come out of his hand, and they're just like, and I love Pat Mahomes. Like he's a superstar. He's the greatest ever, or whatever. But it's like. It's almost like Todd Bowles broke him, and I don't want to put this on Mahomes, Bloom, but you just watch him throw, and his mechanics have always been a little wonky because he could do it, you know. But now when there's times when he needs to stand and step, and he just like drifts and back, it's like, dude, you can't do that anymore.
Well, it's the other side of his scouting report, right? I mean, this is the thing about the NFL, and this is where I can make the statement where like every single one of us football pundit types should just retire today, after a day like today, after weird week 9, right? Because if you wait long enough, what you're saying is going to be right or wrong. Like just wait long enough. And eventually you'll be proven right, even after you're proven wrong.
And that's why you don't do any laps. Like you see all the people that do laps because their guy, I told you about this guy. Yeah, and you're going to be wrong a dozen times.
Right.
Just be humble. Like, right? Kendrick Lamar, man, be humble.
And like we always said in one of our touchstone mottos, whatever, glory to the game. Like
glory to the players, glory to the game.
Glory to the game. Like if you're going to glorify anything here, like glorify the people who make the spectacle and lay everything out. Because, you know, this is absolutely a Kansas City team with Mahomes. And with Mahomes, Cease, I wonder on the couch stuff, right? Like too much too fast, you know, came too easy for him. I think you're not seeing that hardened resilience, you know, that you are seeing from Lamar Jackson, for instance. You know what I mean? I mean, Lamar Jackson has already had to struggle and overcome so much just to get to this point.
Yes.
That the struggle that comes with a bad game or the struggle that comes with a defense figuring him out on a given day is just another thing. And with Mahomes, and you have to also wonder with Mahomes, because he's so, I mean, he's chill to the point of being almost lukewarm, you know, in terms of how his energy runs and what can he be to this team when it's not working? Can he be a real spark plug or a vocal leader or someone that leads by example? I have no idea. So like you said, what do we
and
learn?
He leads with fun, not fear. I mean, I hate to put it that way, and maybe that's the wrong way for football to be.
Right.
But I've had multiple players tell me like they didn't want to mess up or Peyton Manning to get him cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tom Brady, you think those guys love him or do they fear him?
Yeah.
Like seriously, and they love Mahomes. Like maybe they need to fear Mahomes.
Well, and see, what's fun, what's leading out of fun, not fear, when your game isn't fun to play, when you just don't have the capability to play in a fun way. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like it's just not, so what's the next move? Like how do they reinvent themselves, right? Another team I can think of here is the Titans, where, you know, we're going to watch them. They're playing right now. I don't know what they're doing. But again, the Chiefs haven't shown us that yet. They haven't shown us that they can absorb that. You know, it's like in the Terminator when Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's always Schwarzenegger, right? Like he can fix himself. Like they need to be able to do that. And I don't know that this game is, like you said, any evidence that they did that. And isn't it fascinating, Cease? That next week, those Raiders that we just talked about, I think they're going to be okay. And they already kind of, you know, even when the Chiefs were fun, the Raiders had their number or at least could hang with them. Now you have, so where are these teams at again? See, we keep hitting this theme over and over again, but I am struck by it this year that the emotional ups and downs, like you said, see, the teams are moody or whatever it is. And I think it is that social organism in a way. And I think there's always things that are not in our view that are influencing these things. For so many of these development seasons, and I know that you can't talk about these things, right? Like you could talk about them, but the point is some of these things that make it feel like we're just adrift in the getting buffeted by the waves of the ocean of NFL variance. There are reasons, just not necessarily things that we see.
Yes. And actually, Bloom, I do write about them. I put the football stuff in like comic book stories with superheroes, because in our universe, superheroes are like our athletes, where they're the top stars and everybody knows them. So yeah, I do get to express that.
Yeah.
So buy my comic anyway. Man, live. So many ways to go with that, with Mahomes and just with everything involved here. Like it's mind blowing that it could be that way.
And see, the harder it gets and the more it seems to render fantasy football meaningless at times, the more compelling it's content, right? It's always content, right?
Right.
I mean, Eric Stone and I talking about how like we're processing it like a video game.
Yes.
Well, now it's content, great content. I've seen that comment so often, but it does, from an emotional human standpoint, create this content. And of course, on this day, who's the hero that we carry out on our shoulders on Weird Week 9? Colt McCoy. What a transition. Look at you, professional. Yeah.
He's a professional, ladies and gentlemen. Sigmund Bloom, Cecil Lammey. Final game we're going to talk about, 31-17 Cardinals over the 49ers. They are 8-1. 49ers now 3-5. Colt McCoy, 1 touchdown, 249 yards passing. James Conner with everything. Receiving touchdown, 5 for 77 receiving. And then 21 for 96 and 2 rushing touchdowns. We knew about the rushing touchdowns, but now adding this extra receiving element in, did have the fumble they needed to recover, though. Christian Kirk, 6 for 91. And then Zach Ertz, 3 for 27. That didn't work out. Rondale Moore, 5 for 25. That didn't work out. Eno Benjamin, 9 for 39 and a touchdown. Always had some dynasty love for him. And Chase Edmonds didn't do anything. So big win, but they did it in a different way.
Yeah. Cease. Cliff Kingsbury, Coach of the Year? Well, I mean, look, they go into this game, no Nuke, no Murray, okay? And they already lost J.J. Watt. Not that J.J. Watt was that important. They did get back Rodney Hudson. But the point is, I mean, it's kind of like Cooper Rush leading Dallas to victory, but then again, look at what Dallas did the following week. So I don't even know if I should hang my hat on that. But without Kyler Murray, this team was hyper-focused and against a team that has given them trouble. I mean, this is a divisional matchup, and they went into Santa Clara where the 49ers have just been playing terrible football. First, I want to start out with, speaking of superheroes, Chandler Jones passed Freddie Joe Nunn.
And had the T-shirt
and
on.
Had the T-shirt underneath.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Oh, respect, man.
Respect. And understanding those that came before you.
Yes.
We didn't do this by ourselves. Any of us in anything. You
Build the NFL.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I was so touched by that moment, Cease. I was touched by that moment because I think it showed a respect of your elders, your ancestors, however you want to put it, that there were a lot of people who made the NFL and never got glory. They never got stardom. They never got
How many
fame,
people didn't even know who Freddie Joe Nunn is or was, you know? And think of the money aspect. Chandler Jones made more in a game probably. Right. Than Freddie Joe Nunn made. And
even inflation adjusted, right? I mean, players weren't getting paid much. I mean, they didn't. There wasn't all the great glory and riches that were offered. So I just thought that was a wonderful moment. That was how he put together in his mind.
And of course, Chandler Jones would do that.
Yeah, Syracuse, baby.
Chandler Jones is that dude, man.
Yeah, and how about the twist and turn? What was it? It was fake marijuana, right? When he went into the police station and was like kind of raving. Yeah. Or else he wouldn't be an Arizona Cardinal, you know? And wow, what a career he's had with the Cardinals. Colt McCoy, still around and almost flawless in this game. Without DeAndre Hopkins or A.J. Green. Antoine Wesley, you remember Antoine Wesley, Cease? Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I thought I was really sticking my neck out. I was like, Antoine Wesley's going to have a better career than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Because, Wesley went undrafted. This was before he went undrafted. And Arcega-Whiteside, everyone knew that he was going to go high in the second round. Anyway, Wesley, a tall, fluid receiver, making some plays. Just love seeing him get out there. Christian Kirk did his thing. Not so much Rondale Moore. Eno Benjamin with the 21-yard touchdown run. And remember, he'd been a healthy scratch at times that we thought he was going to get some run because of injuries. It was Chase Edmonds with an injury in this one. Now an ankle to go with the shoulder injury that he's been carrying this year, which then leads us to James Conner. And if we want to have out of weird week 9, no, nothing weird about this, man. And it brought me full circle, Ceased, with James Conner. It's funny, too, as this weekend I was in Las Vegas for my dad's 85th birthday, and I remember he would call me and say, why don't the Steelers should take Conner? Because he's a big Pitt fan, too. We went to Pitt Law School.
Yeah.
The Steelers should take Conner. And they did. And then, any week that he only got like 12 carries, he would say, why did he only get 12 carries?
They need more Conner.
They need more Conner, right? And eventually, it fizzles out. Conner couldn't really stay healthy. He goes to Arizona, Pittsburgh West, right? And this was his moment today with Edmonds going down, and he looked as good as he looked at any of his best moments with the Steelers in this one.
Oh, yeah.
He was feeling it. He was feeling it in this one. A Keanu kiss for everybody there that backed him. And again, he overcame cancer. And really, you do love to see it, Cease. You love to see it, even though it's not in a Steelers uniform, because it was that kind of day. Again, this was a day that we should have seen the Cardinals at a low point or at a weaker front. Buda Baker getting an interception in this one. Byron Murphy making plays. Isaiah Simmons. There's so much talent on both sides of the ball. Where's Vance Joseph? Cue up Vance Joseph.
Yeah, I was just going to grab him.
Because it's this. See, on weird week 9, we can come out of this and say this is a good football team. They're playing next week. Carolina, probably not a good football team. And then San Francisco, this is another chapter in the Jimmy Garoppolo story, which, as we already know, we already saw the ending of the Jimmy Garoppolo story. Now we're just feeling the reverberations and echoes of it until they close the door on him for good.
Yeah, George Kittle was back.
Yeah.
Right? That's interesting. 6 for 101 and a touch. Brandon Ayuk out of the doghouse, I guess, after the fumble. Boy, he was glad when they got that fumble back because he was like, fumble. Oh, my God. And a great catch, right?
Yeah.
He went all out for that thing, and then he fumbled it. But 6 for 89 and a touch. Okay. Debo, a little banged up, 5 for 63. Enough. Eli Mitchell, 5 for 43 as a receiver, 8 for 36 on the ground. But it's the Jimmy G thing. It's the jukebox that's stuck on the same song. Right? It's just...
What's the song, Cease? What if God was one of us?
No. Jimmy G, he's milk toast, man. That'd be something like, look at this photograph, right?
Good,
That'd be some
good.
God blessed Nickelback up in that crap. And I do have a clause in my contract with the radio because they're like, you can put anything in, and I'm like, don't ever play Nickelback when I'm on or I walk.
I'm out. Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah. Paid time off.
Yeah.
I need a mental health day from Nickelback. Anyway, I think the 49ers, and I mean, I have zero influence over what they do, but I talk to enough people around that team, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You moved up. You got all these picks. You got your guy. You got the guy you wanted. You did not want Mac Jones. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, and that's the next question, right? I think that after this game, San Francisco fans are saying, okay, how long until we see Trey Lance for good? And it's not necessarily, and see, apropos again of the conversation with Eric Stoner, it is possible that just because of Trey Lance taking a year off, all these things, Eric Stoner did a great job laying this out, that it really is better for him to not play much this year. And even if it's not good for the team, even if the team's demoralized, that you play Jimmy Garoppolo just so that Trey Lance can stay in the incubator for a little longer, right? But then again, you look at the incubator, didn't do much for Jordan Love. I think Trey Lance had a lot more to work with. I mean, come on. I mean, even if Lance doesn't go to number 3 to San Fran, he probably goes number 4 to Atlanta, right? Yeah. So it's different caliber of prospects. So it's almost self-evident, okay? So there's that question. Is it better for Lance to sit just because it's better for Lance to sit, play whoever? Or is it time to let him learn on the job? Other things, we're looking through here. And this was it, Cecil. I mean, San Francisco, this is like punching your way out of the corner. Everyone's getting healthy now, right? Kittle's back. That's the key to the offense. Everything's going to be better. No, everything is not better because, don't look at the stats for Garoppolo. And yes, Brandon Ayuk started making plays. Kittle looks like George Kittle. Awesome. One of the best players of this era. Okay. The other thing for fantasy we're wondering about, why was Jeff Wilson activated? Exactly. I don't know. I don't understand because he wasn't used in this game, but he was activated. You did see Elijah Mitchell in the passing game doing some things. San Francisco gets the Rams next. So the hits keep on coming in the NFC West. But yeah, it's a lot, Cease. It's a lot to digest. Emotionally, it's a lot to digest. And then we know that next week we're going to have to contort to look and try to see what happens next and how we can make sense of what's already happened, right? I cannot remember another season, Cease, where I feel so disoriented coming out of week 9, trying to understand exactly what we have here. But maybe that's just what happens when you go to Las Vegas.
Or is that what happens when they add an extra game, right? Like, what caused this?
Right. 17, because 16 is a square number, right? 16 can be split into 8 and into 4 and into 2 and into 1. But 17 is a prime number. They messed it up. Josh Allen, it all makes sense.
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the Chiefs and my brain froze there, I forgot what I was going to say, but now I remembered because you were talking about the Terminator, Schwarzenegger. You've got a lot of Arnold on your mind tonight.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Conan.
that says
You brought
about
up Conan though. See,
I wore the Crush T-shirt, right? Crush our enemies and hear the lamentations of the women. Like, yeah, but I was thinking of something different because the Chiefs aren't a robot anymore, right? They're not the Terminator. You know who they are, or well, who they could be. They're mortal, so they're Javier Bardem. In No Country for
that's
Old Men.
the other one. It was in my. I swear to you, it was also in my head. But he's even more the bad guy than Arnold. But that's absolutely Anton. Yes,
Anton
perfect
Chigurh.
film.
Yes.
Perfect film. No Country for Old Men. A truly perfect film. If we don't forget fantasy advice, just know that No Country for Old Men is a perfect film.
Yes. And when Tommy Lee Jones did you tell me what that was? Is that true? What? And he's like, what? And she's like, you told me that story. He goes, well, it was a story.
Yeah.
So the NFL season,
narrative has no meaning.
It was a story.
It's never going to make sense. There's not going to be something at the end that makes it all make sense. We just ride through the night looking for the next fire to warm our bones by.
Yeah. And then when it's done, we're like, wait a second, that didn't mean.
What was that all about? Did that mean anything?
Well, that's what it is.
Sound and fury signifying nothing. Yeah.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's the Audible, everyone. Hey, do all those YouTube things. Content. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid, and go watch Casually Comics with Sasha because she is officially awesome, and that channel is awesome. I am Cecil Lammey, and talker of football and all things. There is Sigmund Bloom, the lover of football and all things. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. We're at Football Guys. You know that. Been there forever. Customers of Football Guys before we joined. And we joined the staff because we wanted to be with Football Guys. And we've been there, me since 05, you since 06. So let's do this thing. Check out footballguys.com for the best fantasy football content that you could shake a stick at. Although, why is that a saying? Anyway, don't get me started. We'll be here another 10 minutes. Go watch Titans. Go watch Rams. That's it for tonight's program. Everyone, stay tuned. And please, thank you. And always stay frosty.